planned for your elicitation, you've prepared for a specific elicitation activity. Now you want to conduct that elicitation. So when you start your meeting, of course, set the tone and build rapport with your participants. Don't make it all serious and jump into the meeting. Establish the session objective and ground rules, if there are any, especially for workshop where you have multiple stakeholders. You want to be able to create order. You don't want your meeting to degenerate to chaos. So if you need to set and explain ground rules, by all means. The next is, of course, go to the actual why you are there. Begin to ask your questions. You should be able to use different types of, open-ended and closed-ended question type. And of course, pay attention, take notes. You don't have to record the meeting, but if you have to record the meeting, ask for the permission of the participants. Sometimes they might decline. Sometimes they may not feel comfortable being recorded because depending on the culture of the organization, they might feel if you record my conversation and it gets out there, I might get fired or I wouldn't know the impact of that. And it may be something that happened in the past. So sometimes the stakeholders might not be willing to have those conversations recorded, and they may not come up front to tell you that. What they will tell you is, oh, you can record. But when they start responding to you, they will filter their responses. So what I recommend is, when I do meetings, I share my screen and I tell them I'm taking notes. So as they're talking, I'm taking notes in the meeting. I don't have to write everything they say or cough, anything. When they cough, I don't have to note it down. But I only pay attention to the key points, to the very important points. And that's why you have to listen actively. If typing is not, you're not comfortable, you're not a fast typer, you might want to take notes with your pen and biro. Very important. Take note as fast as possible. If there's anything you didn't get clear, ask for clarification. If you're unable to ask during the meeting, that is okay. There's an opportunity to ask after the meeting. So if you have models, if you have diagrams, if you have use case diagrams, if you have process model you want to show, go ahead, make those presentations, maybe to start the conversation. You want to tell them, oh, we're reviewing this process. We think this is the bottleneck, that is the bottleneck, and you are seeking for their opinion. Something to start out the conversation. So when you are done with the actual question and answering and getting the information you feel you need, you can wrap up the activities by asking the participants if they have any questions or if they think something was missed out and they that you think they should bring up. If they have other questions on their mind they want to ask about the project or other contribution. And of course, you need to make them understand that you took note as much as possible, you listened as much as possible. You're going to summarize all what you've heard and send it back to them to validate it. And that is you wrapping up. So you can what you can also do before you end the meeting is if there were key discussions, you want to highlight them and repeat them. If there were items that were agreed and some persons were designated as responsible for actioning those items, you also want to recap all of that and then agree next steps. Next steps might be that you have another meeting scheduled at so date, or that you summarize all what you have, send it to them to validate and take it up. So depending on what your next steps are, agree with your stakeholders before the end of that meeting. And if you feel you didn't get all the information, that is okay. Go back, summarize what you have, send it out to your stakeholders, let them validate what you think you understood or what you heard. If you missed out anything, of course, invite them to provide you with any information they think you may have missed. You are not a machine. And don't, I'm emphasizing it because a lot of BAs put themselves under pressure. And when you are new and starting out, it would happen. You would feel, oh, you are not fast enough, but don't beat yourself up. It's okay. Over time, you get better and you become more confident in this process. So this is just a sample elicitation. This is a BA that went into a meeting and interviewed different people. So this is the BA just taking notes, and you see the notes are very high level. So I had a mentee that reached out to me recently to say that he came out of a 3 hours meeting. Should he begin to write down as meeting of meeting everything that was said the way it was said? I said, no, you don't have to do that. You just summarize and highlight just key points. So for example, look, this is a sample analysis result. And what you have here, okay, maybe they talked about a hard up reporting. What was discussed? Checking for data accuracy urgently is the problem. That was just the highlight. Another key point was they talked about the dashboard, time spent to reconcile raw data and analytical reports. And we talked about corporate news, duplicated effort spent collecting and locating information. Just very high level points when you are putting together your meeting notes. But of course, when you spend time to go through this information to identify what the pain points are, where the issues are, you can now elaborate more. But you don't have to write every is, every dot, every comma as it was said during the meeting. That is unproductive. I'm going to share a template with you, a meeting template. And please remind me. So if you finish your meeting, how do you summarize your information? And I'll give you a sample. I will provide you with the template with samples. We can look at it when we meet on Saturday. Please remind me to put that template together. I can also include it here. So the next phase is for you to analyze and validate your elicitation results. So you've gone to your meeting, you've collected so many information. It could be, and that maybe you've done some document analysis, you've done some research. Now you're analyzing all this information around the same subject matter. So you want to analyze it. If there are discrepancies you notice, you want to validate it and know which is correct and all of that. It could also be that you didn't even engage the stakeholder, it was a survey or you did document analysis. You still need to validate your elicitation result before you continue further business analysis work. And what are the activities you do? So you've attended your meeting, you have analyzed your notes, you identified more questions. Maybe you didn't have time to, when you were analyzing the notes, you started thinking and more questions emerged. You note your follow-up questions. You can note all of it. If there are ambiguities or conflicting information, you want to note all of that. Summarize your notes or your elicitation information, consolidate it, remove details that are not necessary. Then you send notes and follow-up questions to your stakeholders because you are still analyzing and putting things together. So when you are done all of this, you can then, depending, validation can be in-person, one-on-one meeting. It could also be via email. So basically what you do when you're validating your results is to say, based on all the meetings we had, based on all my analysis work, this and this and this is what I found. Do you agree with this? Does this align? Are we on the same page? So that you're not working with an information someone will disown down the line. You're not working with an information that is out of date. If something has changed, they get that information for you. And this is very important for when you are, for example, you are analyzing and documenting requirements. You need to validate it before you give it to the developers to build on the work they are doing. If you are designing a prototype, you want to validate it and make sure it's correct, update it, get feedback from your stakeholders, get their sign-off, confirm it's complete and accurate before you continue your business analysis work. So in this lesson, we've talked about planning for your elicitation, preparing for elicitation, conducting your elicitation, then analyzing and validating your elicitation information. Any questions for me? And I hope we're also getting understanding.
Elicitation is not part of the deep end of business analysis.
Exactly. Basically, we call it elicitation, but you do this every day in your work. But again, And from a BA perspective, we provided more structure and more order to doing it. Yeah, you are right. It's not the deep part, so it's very easy to understand. So thank you.